Hey, welcome back, podcast friends. And in today's episode, I want to answer a question that we get asked a lot. And that is, who do we believe regarding healthy nutrition? There are so many diets out there. How are we supposed to know who is right? What are we looking for in a diet? So this is going to be a summary of all my past podcasts. You're going to hear a lot of the same things I've said because I do keep saying the same things over and over because the answer to this question is very, very simple. It just isn't very easy to do for a lot of people. So first, when I first got asked this question, and again, the information that I found in this is something that I never knew. And I've been a doctor of pharmacy for over 30 years, and I never knew all this nutrition information until 4 years ago when I was asked to give a talk on childhood obesity. And that's when I went to the nutrition science literature, and that's when I found out how so important our nutrition is to our health. And we've been railroaded for so long that we think that our health all has to be determined by some kind of chemical imbalance, and we have to have a drug to take care of it. And that is the biggest lie, the worst thing you could ever do. Because like I've said in some of my talks, if you are thinking that you're healthy, but you're on medication, that is the same thing as taking out a loan from a bank and thinking you are rich. Okay. It may work for a little while, but eventually it's going to end up in your demise. And that's exactly what's happened now because of the food companies that are out there, because of the drug companies, because of the big agriculture companies, because of the sugar companies, because of the chemical companies. All these mega powers make all their money off of us being sick. It's all used to make this ultra processed food. It's not even food. This stuff, it's nothing but chemicals. And all these chemicals are inflaming our bodies and they're keeping our insulin levels high. And those two things, high inflammation in our bodies and high insulin levels going on continuously, causing insulin resistance, those two things are what's the root cause of almost every single disease state we have. And you can tell that by looking back, when did all of our diseases start? And when you look at whether you're looking at obesity, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, cancer, polycystic ovarian syndrome, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure. It just goes on and on and on, and all the things that are caused from have inflammation in our body and keeping our insulin levels high. So that's when I started looking, okay, what are all these diets out there? Who's telling us the right thing? And so I started looking, and there are so many diets out there. There's the vegan diet, the vegetarian diet, the lacto-ovo-vegetarian diet, the lacto-vegetarian diet, pescatarian diet, South Beach, ketogenic, Mediterranean, paleo. There's so many diets out there. How the heck do you know who to trust? And that's exactly what I ran into 4 years ago when I started looking at this, because I was just going by these diets. And I thought, well, the main thing, it's got to be nutrition. What's the underlying thing? So I went around to other countries or looked at the information from these other countries and when they did their nutrition sciences, and found out that all these other countries kept comparing their nutrition to the SAD diet. And I didn't know what the SAD diet was until I went and looked a little bit further and found out that the SAD diet is the standard American diet. And that is an extremely sad diet. So when I went back and looked at this list that I just listed off of all these different diets, I started looking, it was like, well, which one of these are saying something that is helpful to us? And I found that a lot of these diets really, for most of them, for the majority of what they're saying, is to eat real food, single ingredient, no chemicals added, real food, which means God made meat, God made fat, God made vegetables, and God made fruits. Those are the nutrition that we've been using since we were first created, however long ago that was. Okay. We've been eating the same stuff. We've been thriving. We've been growing. We've been doing great on those things: real animal meat, real animal fat, real fruits, real vegetables, no labels, no chemicals added. This is what we've eaten ever since the beginning of time, up until our dietary guidelines came out in 1977. And I've said this on other podcasts, but human beings are the only animals on the planet that have to be told what to eat. No other planet or no other animal on the planet has to be told. And we never had to be told what to eat until our guidelines came out in 77, when now man decided they're going to tell us what to eat. Well, obviously, man thinks that we should be eating man-made food because that's how they make their money. And man-made food is nothing but chemicals. So that means you're making the chemical countries rich. It's also ultra-processed carbohydrates, grains and seeds. And that's why the big agriculture is making money. And then it's also it's full of sugar. So that's why the sugar industry is making much of money. So all these mega companies want us sick to make this food. And then the drug companies want us sick because that's how they make their money. Nobody would be making any money if we were all healthy. If we ate the same things that we used to eat since the beginning of time, we would not be man-made food. So that means we're not getting those chemicals. We're not getting the sugar. We're not getting the ultra-processed carbohydrates. We're not getting the vegetable and seed oils that are so inflammatory and toxic to our bodies. Therefore, we are not getting sick. So now we don't need medications. That's why there's a huge push from all those big companies to keep us eating that food, because that's how they make their money. They do not care about our health. That is the last thing they care about. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this. So what we're doing, when you look at nutrition, what's right, look and see what is telling you to eat real animal meat, real animal fat, real fruits, and real vegetables. So let's just go through this real quick and see why that is. Now, when I talk about man-made food, I'm talking about anything that's a box, bottle, bag, can, jar, fast food, takeout restaurants, desserts, anything from a bakery. And I'll explain what this means. Anything from a bakery, all your pastas, all your breads, all this stuff that is not animal, fruit, or vegetable, all this stuff has those exact same ingredients. And this goes all the way down to infant formulas. I mean, they start us early, and I've already had podcasts on that. But this starts early. There's no nutrition in that. All we're getting is chemicals, is all it is. And that is killing us. So, like I said, all ultra-processed food, it's called ultra-processed carbohydrates, sugar and high fructose corn syrup, and vegetable and seed oils. They all have it, including our infant formulas that are made by man as well. Okay. All this stuff is extremely toxic. So why are we so sick today? We're sick because the stuff that we're eating, this man-made food, is causing nothing but inflammation and high insulin levels. So now we have chemicals all over us. Okay. Chemicals in our body. Anytime you put chemicals in your body, okay, that don't belong there, our body sets up an inflammatory response. That's how God made us. That's a good thing. Inflammation is how we get the things out of our bodies that we don't want in our bodies, that our bodies don't want in there. Okay. And anytime you put chemicals in there, that's what you're doing. Now there's chemicals everywhere. You've got chemicals. You have environmental chemicals, because any lotions, creams, makeup, sunscreens, there's all kinds of chemicals in those. There's chemicals in our water. It's in our air. It's in our lawns. If you have lawn services, it's in our produce, because all these industrial farms, these farms that are making buku dollars by giving all their food, their grains, their corn, soy, and wheat. Those are the three main crops. Those are the three crops that our government had decided to give these food companies funding for, those three crops, and nothing healthy. So that's where all our food money is going on, those three crops, because that's what goes into the food companies. Okay. So the industrial farms, they spray all their produce with pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. And now we have Bill Gates out here want to spray this Apeel, this new APEEL, this new chemical that he wants to have sprayed on all the fruits and vegetables sold in the grocery stores, because it's going to keep them ripe for longer. That's more chemicals. You should not be messing with God's creations. And that's exactly what they're doing. So that's hard to get rid of chemicals, and then also now just in the food itself. Now, besides all the chemicals that were used to get these ingredients to the food companies, now the food companies they put artificial coloring, artificial flavoring, artificial sweeteners. The term artificial means chemicals. So anytime you see an artificial something, It's a chemical that's going in your body and it's causing mass destruction. And I'll explain why that is. So, and then you have your vegetable and seed oils. These vegetables and seed oils that they're putting in all our food are absolutely toxic. Remember, we were talking about the inflammation. Okay. When you just look, so all the chemicals that we just talked about, which is basically everything that's in that food, it's all chemicals, all that's inflammatory. Now, the vegetable and seed oils, there's two main reasons why those are super inflammatory to our bodies. The one is because there are two essential fatty acids. Essential fatty acids means our body does not make them. We have to get them from the food we eat. Those two essential fatty acids are omega-6 and omega-3. Omega-6 leads to inflammatory prostaglandins. And that's good because if you get something in our body, we want an inflammatory process. We want that inflammation to get that out of there. Okay. So omega-6s go to inflammatory prostaglandins. Omega-3s go to anti-inflammatory prostaglandins. Okay. So omega-6 causes inflammation. Omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. You need both in a good ratio, but the good ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, so inflammatory to anti-inflammatory, is somewhere between 4 to 7 of omega-6 to 1 omega-3. Okay, so we don't need a whole lot of omega-3, but you do need a ratio of about like that in order to do this. When you eat a good animal fat, okay, a good grass-fed, grass-finished, or even if it's grass-fed, grain-finished, okay, obviously grass-finished is going to be a little bit better. But when you do this, when you eat that fat has a ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 of around 6 to 7 to 1. Okay. That's a grass-fed, even grain finished will be about 7 to 1, 7 omega-6 or inflammatory to 1 omega-3 or anti-inflammatory. When you look at the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in these vegetable and seed oils, it is crazy. These have so much more omega-6. They basically don't have any omega-3. So now instead of having a little ratio of around 4 to 7 to 1, now these vegetable and seed oils have an omega-6 of around 50 to 1. Some a little less, some a little bit more, but it's all around 50 to 1, which means when you eat this, you are bombarding yourself with all these omega-6s, causing all these inflammatory prostaglandins, causing all this inflammation in our body. But it gets even worse than that, because the other thing that happens is how they get oil out of a vegetable. How do they get oil out of a seed? That is not a common thing to do. That's not a normal thing to do. In fact, back at the turn of the century, all our vegetable oils were only used for industrial oiling, for the oil you put in your cars, in your tractors, in all your machinery. That's what vegetable and seed oils have always been used for, up until Procter & Gamble came up with Crisco and started telling everybody that cottonseed oil was really healthy for you, which again was just more lies for money. Anyway, I've talked about that when I talk about the history of processed food. That's not where I'm going now. But the main thing is these oils, okay, besides the omega-3 and omega-6, when they try to get the oils out of this, they put a ton of petrochemical solvents in here. So you're getting petrochemical solvents trying to get this out. There's high pressures, there's high temperatures, there's deodorizers. They have to put chemical deodorizers in this stuff also, because this plant, if you've ever watched how seed oils are made, it is absolutely disgusting. And the people who work in these factories, they have to wear respirators because the smell is so horrendous. And that's why they put deodorizer in there also, which is more chemicals. And again, we've already talked about the petrochemical solvents, talked about the high temperatures and high pressures. This stuff is absolutely horrible for us. Okay. Now, so that's the inflammatory side. So we're getting inflammation from all these vegetable and seed oils. We're getting inflammation from all these chemicals of these artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners, artificial, everything, coloring. And now the next one is the high insulin levels. Okay. So now we know that all that food gives us high inflammation. Now, as far as our insulin levels, when you look at insulin, what makes your insulin levels go up? Okay. Is glucose. Okay, by far, it's glucose in your blood. When your blood glucose goes up, your body secretes insulin because it doesn't want a high blood glucose, and that gets secreted to get rid of it. But remember, insulin doesn't just come in and make glucose go boop, just disappear. That's not how it works. What insulin does is it takes all this excess glucose that you take in and it tells the liver, this is the extra calories that we need. So you turn that into triglycerides and store that as fat. So carbohydrates is what causes obesity. And that's all that man-made foods are. You eat all this stuff, which is nothing but carbohydrates. That goes in your body, that raises your blood glucose, raises your insulin. Okay. And I've talked about this in past talks, so I'm not going to talk about it now. Just for now, just realize and then go back and see why. High insulin levels force you to store fat. You cannot burn it. You physiologically cannot burn it when your insulin levels are high. When your insulin levels are low, it causes you to burn your own fat for your energy source. Okay. You cannot store it. So obviously, right off the bat, if you are obese, if you have any of the diseases, if you are on most of these medications, the kind of medication you have to take every single month, the reason why you're on that is because you eat so many carbohydrates, you keep your insulin levels high so long that all you can do is force your body to store fat. It doesn't keep you feeling full. Actually, increased carbohydrate intake, and I've just talked about this why do we eat? Increased carbohydrate intake actually causes you to be more and more hungry, which is exactly what the food companies, drug companies, chemical companies, big agriculture companies, the sugar industry, that's what they want. The hungrier you are, the more money they make. It's that simple. So let's break this down real quick. I'm not going to go into, real hard, but I've talked about this in my other podcasts. Okay, first, as far as the carbohydrates, okay, so all plants, vegetables, fruits, anything, seeds, oats, anything that comes out of a ground is a carbohydrate. All carbohydrates have a basic building block of glucose. So anytime you eat any plant-based food, you are going to put glucose into your blood, which is going to cause your insulin levels to go up. However, different things cause your insulin levels go up a lot, and some things cause it where it doesn't go up very much. So what makes your insulin levels go higher than anything? Ultra processed carbohydrates, because basically what you're eating is just powdered glucose in a chemical form. So with all these other chemicals that are in that's why there's a label. You want to eat stuff that doesn't have a label on it, because the label is just talking about all the chemicals that they put in there. So what you want to do is you want to eat the kinds of foods that keep your glucose low. Ultra processed carbohydrates and all this man-made food, those are the ones that keep your insulin levels higher than anybody or anything. So your carbohydrate, your glucose load goes very high and your insulin levels go very high. And this food is chemically manufactured, so it keeps you feeling hungry. So you continuously eat this all day long. The reason why you're eating it all day long is because you've never gave your body any nutrients whatsoever. Your body gets hungry because it needs nutrients. When you eat this man-made crud, toxic sludge, you're getting no nutrients, nothing but chemicals. Okay. So when you don't get any nutrients, your body remains hungry. And that is by design. And I've actually talked about that in a podcast here later. But anyway, so let me go in. So first, ultra processed carbohydrates, those are the worst. Those make your glucose levels go up very high, put inflammation in your body, and keep your insulin levels high, which causes insulin resistance, which is what type 2 diabetes really is. Even though drug companies are trying to make you think that it's high glucose, that's just a symptom of insulin resistance. That's why your glucose is high. And the way these drugs work is they get your glucose down by raising your insulin levels. And remember, insulin doesn't just make it disappear, it throws it into your cells, it turns it into fat. So actually taking type 2 diabetic medications in general is making type 2 diabetes worse, because it's a nutrition disease. It was brought on by what you eat. It will only be reversed by what you eat. And it can definitely be reversed. I know many people have totally reversed type 2 diabetes, got off all their blood pressure medicine, their diabetic medication, everything. So this can be done, and I've seen it, and it's wonderful. So what's worse for your insulin levels is ultra processed carbohydrates. Next, what's going to be on the list is going to be your God made carbs. So real fruits, real vegetables. Those are still carbohydrates. They still will make your blood glucose go up, but they're packaged in a way that you're not going to be eating them constantly like you do with a man-made food, because it comes with fiber, it comes with phytochemicals in it and it's packaged like an apple, an orange, a banana, Brussels sprouts, whatever you're eating, it comes in a small package. And because of that and all the fiber, it tends to keep you feeling full a little bit longer. So your glucose levels don't go up as high. So your insulin levels don't go up as high. So those are going to be a little better. And then if you just eat a few of them, you don't have to have a lot, but if you want some every now and then, that's fine. The next thing is protein. Protein will make your insulin levels go up just a tiny, tiny bit, nothing really big. And then when you eat fat doesn't raise your insulin levels whatsoever. Okay. So that's the way. Ultra processed carb, by far the worst. Then God made carbs. Then it goes down to protein and then fat. So what do we need to eat? What are we looking at? And I'm not going to go into all this. I just did an episode 90 called Why Do We Eat? But just to reiterate, what we need is we need water, we need vitamins, we need amino acids, which comes from protein. We need fatty acids that comes from fats. Okay. And that's all we need. We need amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, and water. Those 5 things should be the only thing that you're putting in your mouth. Okay. Those 5 things. And you are getting none of that when you eat man-made food. So let's talk about water just real quick. Water, like I've said, water, most of us walk around in a dehydrated state. So because of the things we eat, because anything with sugar in it is a diuretic, makes you pee off more than you're drinking in. Anything with caffeine in it and anything with alcohol, all those are diuretics. All those make you pee more than you're taking in. So we're saying stay away from things with sugar. As far as hydration, stay away from things with caffeine. Caffeine's not bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it is a diuretic. So that can't be in your daily water requirements. Okay. And the amount you want to drink is take your ideal body weight. That's not your actual body weight. So if you weigh 230 and you should weigh 180, use the 180, divide that 180 by 2, and that'll tell you the number of ounces that you should be drinking every single day. So if you're 180 pounds and that's the weight you should be at also, half that's 90. So you should be drinking about 90 ounces a day. So easy to take care of. All these water bottles, make sure that you're going to have a stainless steel water bottle or a glass water bottle. But when you have that water, if you have like a 30-ounce bottle, all you have to know is if I need 90 ounces and I've got a 30-ounce bottle, I just need 3 bottles of water a day. Okay. And that's all I'll say on water. I've actually given a whole podcast just on the importance of water. Okay. The next thing that we need are vitamins and minerals. Okay. We have to have, as far as the water, this is why when you watch commercials, food companies are saying, oh, no, you don't. You need to have fruit juice and you need to have soda pop and all this liquid sugar. Of all the ways to get sugar in your body, liquid sugar is the worst. And that's what the food companies are forcing on you or telling you is healthy because they want you sick. But, it's all money. As far as the vitamins that we need. Okay. When you talk about vitamins, you have vitamins A, B, C, D, E, and K. That's all your vitamins. Of those, you have vitamins A, D, E, and K that are fat soluble. So you have to eat fat in order to get those fat soluble vitamins. Okay. As far as the vitamins B and vitamin C, vitamin B, there's actually several vitamin Bs. That's why it's called a B complex when you go looking for something. All the other ones are individual. B complex is just a bunch of them. So like B1 is thiamine, B2 is riboflavin, B3 is niacin, B5 is pantothenic acid, B6 is pyridoxine, B7 is biotin, B9 is folate, and B12 is cyanocobalamin. So, and I don't expect anybody to remember that. I'm just saying, though, that's why there's B complex vitamins. That's what those are. As far as your minerals, you need your minerals. You need calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, sodium, potassium, chloride, sulfur. And then you have trace minerals, iron, manganese, copper, iodine, zinc, cobalt, fluoride, selenium. These are all vitamins that you have to get. These vitamins and minerals are so important. That is how all our chemical processes that occur in our body, that's how they occur, is because we have these vitamins and minerals. And you can get all of these vitamins and minerals in a very good, healthy animal, grass-fed animal with nice fat through it. You'll get all the protein, all the fatty acids, all the vitamins, all the minerals that you need in that one meal. You could go your entire life, never put a plant in your mouth, and be perfectly healthy. So that's kind of your goal. I'm not pushing carnivore. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, in fact, that's an interesting thing. We used to be there were three different types of eaters. There were the carnivores that ate meat, there's the herbivores that eat plants, and then there's the omnivores that eat both. But now most of Americans are none of those. Most Americans have now become processivores. They eat things that have no nutritional value at all, no nutritional value at all, full of chemicals, and all they eat is processed food all day long. So they wonder why they feel sick all the time. They feel foggy headed all the time. They have all the aches. They have all these pains. They just in general feel horrible. And that's why they go to the doctor. That's why they get put on all these medications, because they never give their body the nutrients they need. Okay. So now that's why these food companies, they'll come up and they'll say, oh, look at our food. It's fortified with vitamins and minerals. They have to fortify it because through this horrible process of making these chemical laden, nutrient void foods to tell everybody to eat, besides all that, they have to take out all the vitamins and minerals. So now they add some back, and then they pat themselves on the back saying, look, we added some vitamins and minerals into this food. It is nowhere near the amount of vitamins and minerals that our bodies need. You're only going to get that. Now, you can get that from God-made plants. Okay. You can get that from fruits, and you can get it from vegetables, but it's very, very scant. There's not a lot of vitamins and a lot of minerals. You have to eat a lot of these and a lot of different type to get all the kind of vitamins and minerals that you need. And remember, the more that you eat of these vegetables, that's more glucose you're putting in your blood, because that's all carbohydrates. Okay. So you won't get all the amino acids that an animal uses, because, animals are animals, plants are plants. And so they don't have the same amino acids. So, and I'll explain that as I go through anyway. But anyway, so that's why they pat themselves on the back, say, that it's fortified with vitamins and minerals. Don't believe the lies. Okay. So now let's look at protein and fat real quick. Again, I'm gonna buzz through this because I've talked about all this stuff before. But that's what you need, because protein, when you take all the protein from all the animals and all the plants, put it all together, all protein, all your macronutrients, okay, which is protein, fat, and carbohydrates, all those macronutrients, when they go through your digestive tract, it gets broken down to the basic building blocks. So with protein, the basic building block is amino acids. With fat, the basic building block is fatty acids. And with carbohydrates, the basic building block is glucose. So if we look at the protein, just the protein, okay. And again, when you look at all the proteins and all animals and plants together, there are only a total of 20 amino acids. That's all there are. But of these 20 amino acids, our bodies can put those together in all kinds of ways to make up to over 20,000 different proteins. And some of these proteins have up to 27,000 amino acids. So we need lots of protein. And since we are animals, we get a better complex of animal proteins when we eat animals. If you eat plants and that's all you're wanting to eat, you're going to have to supplement, because you're not going to get all the amino acids that an animal eats. Plus, you're going to have to eat a lot of these fruits and vegetables to get anywhere near the vitamins and minerals and protein that you're going to need. And don't even think about the fat. You're going to get that out of the vegetable and seed oils that these companies are forcing down everybody. So of these 20 basic building blocks of amino acids, 9 of them are considered essential, meaning your body doesn't make them. You have to get them from the food you eat. So you have to eat protein. As far as how insulin, remember, protein doesn't raise your insulin hardly at all. And as far as storage, we don't store protein in our body, even though our body is made up of protein. Every single thing in our body is made up of protein. So it's used for all our muscles, all our bones, for all our biochemical catalysts. It makes up a lot of our hormones, a lot of our enzymes, building blocks for our body. They're the initiators of cell death, which is what we need. That helps us maintain our pH, fluid balance, and also, like we said, we get our essential amino acids. So you have to have essential amino acids, which means you have to eat protein. Okay. The other thing is fat. Remember, fat, there's two essential fatty acids. That's omega 3 and omega 6. And we've already talked about the difference in those. The other thing, remember, fat does not raise your insulin levels at all. The big thing is that everybody's trying to tell you calories. It's all you got to do is decrease your calories, exercise. That's all a lie. That is crazy. The only reason food companies and drug companies are making everybody focus on calories is because all their food is made out of carbohydrates. Okay. All carbohydrates are made out of glucose. Glucose only has one function in your body, and that's energy. But it's not very much energy because when you look at where it's stored, you only have 10% of your liver as storage for glucose. So your body takes all this excess glucose, which there's a ton of excess glucose floating around because of all this food that people eat, takes all this excess glucose and it takes it and puts it in like a little glucose brick, and that's called glycogen, and that gets stored in 10% of your liver. And that's it. There's enough energy there that if you just sleep for 24 hours, the amount of energy it takes for you to sleep for 24 hours, that's all the amount of energy you have stored in carbohydrates in your body. That lets you know this is not an energy thing, because they say, oh, calories, you're going to have a lot less calories with carbohydrates than you do fat, because fat has 9 calories per 9 calories per gram, to where carbohydrates, they only have 4. So you need to eat all these carbs and not the fat. That is the biggest lie they could ever tell. It's crazy. Fat is used for so many different things in our body. Fat is used, yes, it's used for energy. And it's our preferred energy, as God has shown us, because we have storage spot for fat all over our outside bodies. That's healthy. That's going to be able to get us through these times that we are not able to eat. And back, at the beginning of time, there could have been days that you would have to go without any food. And that's why we have all these storage sites on our body for fat, so we can use that for energy. Okay. That's why. But now that's totally changed. Anyway, I keep squirreling. I'm sorry. So fat is used for energy storage. It's used for insulation in our body. It's used for hormone production. A lot of our hormones like cortisol, vitamin D, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all these are made up of cholesterol, which is so important for our body. Cholesterol is so important for your body. It is not the evil villain that these people are telling you they want to sell their drugs. Cholesterol is extremely vital to your life. Every single cell in your body makes cholesterol. Your brain uses 20 to 25% of all the cholesterol that your body makes. Cholesterol is so important. And by lowering it using drugs, you're killing yourself. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, like I said, you get your fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K. Every single cell membrane in your body is surrounded by a fatty membrane, so we need it for that. It helps cushion our organs. It regulates our hunger and our satiety. It maintains energy balance. It regulates our glucose and our cholesterol. It helps maintain our insulin sensitivity, generates heat, contributes to immunity. They found that high LDL levels are actually extremely protective. High LDL levels is not what causes cardiovascular disease. That's been proven and shown over and over and over again. The only ones that say high LDL levels cause cardiovascular disease are the drug companies who are trying to sell their drugs, and they tell the doctors this is what you need to do, is give these drugs for high cholesterol. It's crazy what's going on. And they've also found that high LDL levels are actually, has an antibiotic capabilities. So just having high LDLs actually helps you fight infections. High LDLs have actually do a lot of things. It's cardioprotective is what they're finding out. But anyway, fat is good. Protein is good. You're getting your essential fatty acid. You're getting essential amino acid. When you eat it from a God-made meat, you're getting a good ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. So nothing like when you eat this man-made foods. And I've talked about all this in episode number 4 called "It's Not Eat Less Calories and Exercise More." But the food companies, that's why food companies tell you meat is bad, fat is bad, meat's going to cause you inflammation and diabetes, and it's a lie, flat out lie. You cannot find a grain of truth in that. The only thing they're doing by telling you that is they're wanting you to eat their nutrient void, toxic sludge. And that's how they're making their money. And they're the ones who are advertising all this stuff. And I've talked about that in a podcast also. if you want to look at podcast 66 and 67, your carbohydrate addiction is by design. They know what they're doing. They want you addicted. They want you eating this stuff all the time, and they will lie to you in order to keep their money flowing in. So again, why the lies? Why are they telling you that meat and fat are bad and carbohydrates are good? Because all their food's made of carbohydrates. It's that easy. This doesn't take rocket science. Okay, it's money. It's all about money, and it's whether you give your money to them or you give your money to the local farmers that are going to give you the nutrients that you need without all those horrible toxic chemicals. Okay, that's what you have to look at. So, whenever a new diet comes out, that's what you need to look at. Does this diet tell me that I should be eating animal protein, real God-made animal protein, real real fruits, real vegetables? And with an animal protein, you're getting the good healthy fat in there also. Good omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, none of the chemicals. These are all called real food, single ingredient foods. No chemicals. You don't have to look at a label on your steak. You don't have to look at a label on your apple. You don't have to look at a label because not all these chemicals in there like there is with the man-made food. So the answer to how you do this, if it is telling you that you should not eat meat, you should not eat fat, then you know that that's actually the food that you shouldn't be eating. So again, what we need amino acids, which comes from our protein. Okay. That comes from whatever protein source you want, whether you want it from vegetables or whether you want it from animals. I've already talked about the difference with those. Okay. You need your fatty acids. Again, these aren't going to come from plants. You're going to get this from animals. And then you need your vitamins and your minerals. You stay away from the things that are nutrient scant, and you want to eat the things that are nutrient dense. And that is a whole meat, whole fat food. And that's going to give you all your nutrients that you need. And again, I talked about this also. Oh, and you also need your water. You need your vitamins. But and in episode number 95, do you need a drug to keep you feeling full? The answer is absolutely not. When you eat healthy, you will stay full for long periods of time. So what we should all eat good source of protein, whether it's God-made fruit and God-made vegetables, or whether it's God-made meat, or a little combination of both. But by far, the God-made meat is going to give you all the amino acids that an animal needs, because we are animals. Okay, you have to have, if you're going to have fruits and vegetables, just scant. I call it like eat them like a condiment. If you want to just kind of decorate your plate with them a little bit or whatever, that's fine. Just be careful of all the vegetable and seed oils that are out in almost every single restaurant out there uses vegetable and seed oils. So anytime you get something fried, you're putting vegetable and seed oils, which means you're putting chemicals into your body. And then you need water. So that's how you can tell whether something is going to be nutritious or not. Those are the 5 things. Once again, to beat a dead horse, you need amino acids, which means you need protein. You need fatty acids, which means you need fat. You need vitamins, you need minerals, and you need water. If you stick with those, give your money to your local farmers. Do not give your money to these food companies and drug companies, because that's what they want. And they have lots of advertising money to make sure that you keep giving your money to them and tell them that this meat is bad, fat is bad. It's a lie. It's a lie. They may follow the money. You can always follow the money. So anyway, I know I rambled about this, but I hope I didn't make it more confusing. I really wanted to make it clear, but just beware. All these huge companies, the food companies, drug companies, sugar industry, chemical companies, big agriculture, which is mainly just corn, soy, and wheat. Those are the ones who are making money off you being sick. They get you sick, they keep you sick, and then they give you medications that also will keep you sick, because every medication has adverse effects. Medications don't cure anything. All they do is treat symptoms. So if you want to be healthy, stay away from man-made food, stick with God-made food, and stick with water. Okay, that's the answer. And then obviously there's other things like get out in the sun, walk around barefooted outside, ground yourself. There's a lot of other things. But as far as what you actually put in your mouth, that's something you have total control over. And that's what I want to get everybody. I want to get them healthy, keep them out of the medical system, keep them out of the ultra processed food system, and stay out of the sick and be with the healthy. And there are two big groups right now, walking around right now. There is that big group over here that they go to the doctors all the time. They're in the hospital all the time. They're on all kinds of medications. That's just what they do. They go in every single month. They get their next prescription filled. Then there's some on the other side. They never go to the hospital, never go to the doctor, never, ever get sick. I mean, they're not on any medications. They don't need medications because they gave their bodies the nutrients that it needs. And that's what I want you to do. I know this was the longest single podcast I've given, but I really do think it's very important. I really hope you understand what I'm saying, because we are being lied to, and they are making us sick. And if you watch any of the campaigns going on right now, the presidential campaigns, that's going to come out very, very clearly, because it's known that this is what they're doing. So anyway, please eat healthy, be healthy, get away from medications, get away from sickness, get away from illness. Get away from the foggy headedness, get away from the aches, the pains, and it can all be taken care of by putting the proper nutrition in your mouth. So that's all I've got today. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. And as always, make simple, healthy choices to live a quality life.